for watching Council Wrap-Up. We're here with some of the top stories of the Montgomery County Council for the month of July.
Well, we're officially replacing the street signs that were officially renamed from two Confederate generals. We're naming them for two really important historical members of our community, Geneva Mason and William Dove. William Dove was founder and landowner of Scotland Community. Hey!
This is huge. I mean, growing up in this area, we've always heard about William Dove. We can now see this being changed. It's absolutely amazing.
Thank you, baby. Thank you. Thank you. Great, baby. I coached him in high school.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he and I have had discussions about my family being erected in Potomac and getting some notoriety. And he helped make it happen.
And Geneva Mason, who was one of that community's most important, most significant advocates.
Perfect. I mean, this is incredible. Who would have known? After all of her struggles, all of the things that she went through, that we would come to a place to see these two incredible signs.
I think this is great. And getting rid of Jeb Stewart, geez.
As we dismantle the structures of institutional racism, we're also changing the symbols that normalize institutional racism, like street names.
Also give some recognition to the African American community in Potomac so that we're one big happy family.
You know, one of her sayings have always been, she feels that when you work for this community, then your work doesn't go in vain.
And today it won't go in vain. She'll have a street named after her.
Right, she'll be here. You know, she's been gone for a few years, but hey, we can come here and just see her name, you know?
In my ways, on my way here today, it said Geneva Mason. So it's already changed automatically. So, yeah, the only person who can make it happen that quickly is Geneva Mason.
So we are here to celebrate democracy and the expansion of early voting to Montgomery County, and to come together once again to advocate for an early voting center at White Oak.
Local leaders from across the county are urging residents to make their voices heard for a new early voting site in White Oak. This year, the county is eligible for 2 new early voting sites, but where those sites will be has not yet been determined. Council President Tom Hucker says White Oak is a common sense choice.
But we know that not every voter has the same ease of access to cast their ballot. Waiting in long lines discourages people from voting. It undermines confidence in the electoral system, and it imposes economic costs on voters. This is not a Montgomery County issue. This is actually a national issue. So it's our responsibility to do everything we can in our state, in our community, to strengthen voting access for all.
Leaders have been advocating for a site in White Oak for several years.
And that we demand an early voting site in White Oak, okay?
In 2019, the Republican-controlled Board of Elections rejected an early voting site in White Oak. The community is majority-minority, and 35% of its residents don't own a car. Leaders say accessibility should be a key factor in this upcoming decision.
Bringing a voting center here.
One in truck?
Truck, okay. Bringing the food distribution that we did and worked with Giroux and Recreation here to White Oak. That has material difference. It tells people not only that you have the right, but you must exercise it. You matter to us. We care. Putting that field out there that we worked for years for, that all sends those signals.
Here in Maryland, we are not Texas. We are not Georgia. We are not Florida. We are Maryland, and we are Montgomery County, where we respect and want every single person to vote. That is what makes us different than every other jurisdiction.
The Board of Elections will hold a public hearing on the proposed early voting center sites on September 18th at 10 a.m., with a final vote scheduled for October 18th. For more information on the proposal, visit the Board of Elections webpage. In an effort to streamline the grants process here in Montgomery County, the Council has unanimously approved a new bill that would create an Office of Grants Management.
A significant amount of credit goes to Chair Navarro for her work on this issue.
The legislation was sponsored by Councilmember Nancy Navarro, who recognized the process for obtaining a grant needed to change.
As a
person just starting out here in Montgomery County in the world of nonprofits, had founded my own nonprofit. Was so grateful to people like Frankie Blackburn from Impact Silver Spring and Naomi Nam from Jumpstart Girls Community Bridges, the founders of those organizations, because they took me aside and explained to me the very convoluted process of grants. And I very much appreciated what Councilmember Leventhal actually was the one who first addressed this issue and kind of took it away from council members so that it would be depoliticized.
Some of the duties for the Office of Grants Management would include providing a central point of contact regarding grants that the county receives and awards, providing training, grant writing expertise, and technical assistance, developing countywide policies and procedures regarding grants management in coordination with the Office of Procurement, and developing practices to ensure that grants management and awards made in the county are consistent with racial equity and social justice goals.
And one of the things I kept observing year after year was that there was not a lot of space for emerging organizations to be able to break through. And we needed that because we know that our nonprofit organizations play such a pivotal role in understanding the community and being nimble enough to respond to the community.
The change would also lessen the administrative burden of managing community grants for both nonprofits and the county government. Councilmember Navarro says this change will help reshape county government to better suit residents' needs.
But even issues like, migrating some of these grants into the base budget, which is so important, and opening up opportunities for those emerging organizations, now more than ever, it's going to make a huge difference.
The legislation will go into effect July 1st of 2022. In 2019, the County Council approved a new master plan for the Veers Mill corridor, one that envisioned more affordable housing. Today at Halpine View Apartments in Rockville, officials announced a deal that would expand affordable housing on that site.
I want to publicly thank the Fed Committee, Councilmember Reamer, Councilmember Friedson, Councilmember Giwando, that they worked on this. They said that we need to change something, and the county executive was right along with them. This is a day of celebration.
The landowners at Halpine View will take ownership of a 1.9-acre piece of county land in exchange for preserving 564 current affordable units and additional affordable units when redevelopment occurs.
Is really a forward-thinking plan.
The Veers Mill Corridor Plan was the first Councilmember Hans Reamer worked on as chair of the Planning, Housing, and Economic Development Committee. He calls the agreement a signature achievement for the committee and the council.
We outlined a vision for zoning for this whole corridor in Rockville, Veers Mill, talking about how to have a no net loss of housing so that we could preserve the level of affordability that you see there today, and there's a lot of affordable housing there now, but also allow for new housing to come in. And what we came up with at the council was, we'd be willing to do that. However, we like to see you commit as the developer to a unprecedented level of affordability in a privately owned project. So getting to 30% of the units as affordable in this project. And I'm really pleased that the property owners said they would be willing to do that.
Also part of the no net loss provisions in the plan, all current residents affected by the redevelopment would be given the opportunity to remain at Halpine View.
That today really is a good step in the right direction, not only for affordable housing, but for the people that are actually making this their home, and that they can continue to make this their home as well.
To enable them to move forward on expanding the housing supply, while at the same time locking in future rent restricted housing. It was a win-win, and we knew it was compelling. And there was a lot of resistance, from some quarters to getting this done, but we kept going through it and we made it happen. And again, glad to see that the exact vision that we had is now executed. That's great news.
A project that's been 3 years in the making. Montgomery County took another step in the revitalization of downtown Wheaton by dedicating its new public and gathering entertainment space, the Marion Fryer Town Plaza. Family members and friends of Marion Fryer were joined by elected officials and the community for the dedication ceremonies. The new Marion Fryer Town Plaza will honor the legacy of Marion Fryer, who was a longtime Wheaton resident and community activist who passed away in 2017. She was an outspoken advocate on behalf of the community, and Wheaton was always the center of her efforts. The dedication ceremonies also included a plaque for Fryer and a ribbon cutting.
This is a legacy. I mean, this is something that her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, her great-great-grandchildren one day will read about. It's just an honor. You know, this was a part of my mom that we didn't know existed because we were just her kids.
Just across the street is the 14-story county-built office building in the middle of what is known as the Wheaton Triangle Business District. The building is now home to 7 county departments, making it a one-stop shop for residents looking to contact multiple county agencies. District 4 Councilmember Nancy Navarro has been a strong advocate for Wheaton throughout her tenure on the council. To see this redevelopment project completed is a big achievement and one that is part of her legacy as a leader here in Montgomery County.
I'm so excited to see it all come together. This is just the beginning, like Jim just said. There is so much more ahead, so much more potential. But to me, this plaza really embodies what Marion was all about. She was about making sure that everybody would be heard, making sure that Wheaton's diversity could converge, that all the voices could be heard and included. But she also brought that energy and that positivity. And that's what this plaza means.
For county residents, this plaza was a long-time needed place that will embrace art and culture. Reporting from Wheaton, I'm Rashai Salu.
July 1st, the day the county's minimum wage hit $15 per hour for companies that employ more than 50 people. It's been a multi-year effort that Montgomery County has been in the forefront of. Officials gathered at the Wheaton Library to celebrate the significance of this occasion.
Countless studies show that this is the right thing to do, not just for the workers, but because it's the right thing for the economy, because the minimum wage raises the standard of living for our poorest residents, and that money goes right back in the local economy at a time when our local economy desperately needs a boost.
It's not just about a dignified wage, it's also about bringing awesome jobs where people can have access to those opportunities and lifting up everybody's dreams.
Along with the $15 per hour wage for large companies, those establishments with fewer than 50 employees will pay $14 per hour, and a small employer with 10 or less employees is required to pay $13.50. County Executive Mark Elrich was a big proponent of the increase while he was on the council.
So what we do with wages is critical to how our society continues to move.
There is a dignity that comes with receiving a wage that covers the basics, that covers food, that covers rent, that covers the ability to have just a little bit of disposable income so that your child can join a sports league.
It is a collective strategy that we have accomplished here in Montgomery County to make sure that no one is left behind and that all boats are lifted.
This is one step that we're commemorating, but it's the next step and the next step and the next step, because it's unacceptable to live here and not be able to sustain yourself and your family.
This step that has been taken is one on a very long journey that we are all traveling together.
Eric Strong is a part-time meat clerk at the Giant in Rockville.
The members that I talk to from that I work with, they're excited, they are thankful, and I want to thank all those that have everything to do with that.
You know, I have 1,300 employees.
Scott Nash is the CEO of Mom's Market. To him, paying good wages makes good business sense.
Paying more money makes me more money to my employees. Training costs go down as people stay longer, morale goes up, and my employees are better, so my customers appreciate that.
And to Nancy Navarro, this is more than a duty to fulfill, it's a responsibility.
And that we will continue to stand up for each other and help each other lift up all the voices and take care of everyone.
Well, that does it for this edition of Council Wrap Up. For County Cable Montgomery, I'm Susan Kennedy.